Star Wars stole a lot of things from Dune, like a lot. This is well-known stuff, and I'm new to Dune, but this kind of comment has come up a lot. Dune, the book, was published in 1965, and the movie Star Wars from George Lucas came out in 1977, 12 years later. The author, Frank Herbert, was quoted as saying, "I'm going to try very hard not to sue," when he saw Star Wars. The whole idea of Star Wars being mostly set on a desert planet, Tatooine, came from, most likely, Arrakis. Tusken Raiders in Star Wars are somewhat similar to the Fremen in Dune. Sandcrawlers, the vehicles used to mine spice in Dune, are also in Star Wars. The Jawas drive them, and they are described as being remnants of an old mining colony. The whole idea of a desert planet so dry that there are moisture farmers are in both stories. The Sarlacc in Star Wars is obviously a sandworm. You might be thinking there's no way that George Lucas would call a substance spice in Star Wars, but he did. Both stories are a galactic battle against a totalitarian empire ruled by an emperor. Star Wars, you have the Force. In Dune, you have the Voice. The Jedi in Star Wars were originally called Jedi Bendu. In Dune, the Bene Gesserit have a training method called Prana Bendu. And who could forget the iconic Princess Leia, sister of Luke Skywalker? In Dune, you have Princess Alia, sister of Paul Atreides. I actually didn't know that. This next bit is huge, but it's a spoiler for Dune, so if you haven't seen Dune Part 2 or read the book, stop watching the video. The whole idea of the protagonist being a descendant of the villain, of Luke Skywalker being the son of Darth Vader, happens in Dune. Now look, as the saying goes, all art is theft, and people inspire other people to tell their own stories, and there are a lot of differences in Star Wars when you compare it to Dune as well. But that's a lot of similarities, and one of the main problems is that George Lucas never gave due credit to Dune, and a lot of people compare the two, giving Star Wars the upper hand. I think the whole idea of how we discern what is derivative and what is homage is fascinating. Lucas specifically drew from many things, like the Flash Gordon TV show and Kurosawa films like The Hidden Fortress. And I think both of these stories owe a debt of gratitude to A Princess of Mars, which eventually became the movie John Carter. So I'm not saying there was anything nefarious here necessarily, but what we're not going to do is say that Dune is just Star Wars. Because if anything, Star Wars is just Dune.